Hi, and welcome to Me, You, and the Blended Crew. I'm Mari.
And I'm Randy, and we're here today to discuss a spin-off of one of our more popular videos, a How We Met video. One of the topics that we want to discuss today is called Dating After Divorce, and I think it's going to be a hot topic.
Well, we got a lot of questions about how did we decide.
Go ahead.
How did we decide to date after being in long-term relationships? And if you guys saw the How We Met video, you know that we met online on a dating app. And so we had a lot of questions regarding that and concerns and people that were discouraged. So we decided to take it back to before we met and discuss when we decided to start dating after being in a relationship.
Yeah, makes sense. And so what we're using as a reference to make this discussion go a little more smoothly is we found some information on good housekeeping. We wanted to just work off of that as a guide to share our experiences and what works and a little bit of input from us. All right, so the first topic is the first item on the agenda is time off. And what that means basically is how much time do you need to leave off before you start dating? When is the right time? And the answer is very simple. I think it's different for everyone. But I think very obviously it should be, and there are specific circumstances that are different, but it should be once a divorce is finalized and no sooner. And there's some special circumstances which I think you wanted to talk about on that.
I feel that when both parties mutually agree that the relationship has ended, because what tends to happen is that even though people are sometimes in a dysfunctional relationship or situation, one person is still maybe vested while the other one checked out. And so that means that the relationship has ended at different points for the two people.
I don't know if vested is the right one, but is attempting
or
to
still
make
willing.
It work. Yeah.
Or still willing to work
better.
at it. Yes. Okay. So one person is still willing to work at it while the other person has checked out and is already making plans for the future. Right. And so the timeline is different between the two people. So I think that the right time is when the conversation is had and both parties agreeing.
Agreement, yeah.
This is over.
Absolutely. And when that happens, in a perfect world, it would be once that divorce is finalized. And again, everybody's in a different situation. Sometimes separation is enough. Maybe there's, in the back of somebody's head, a plan of maybe potentially getting back together. Who knows? When you start having children involved in it, it has an impact on it and things are different. So everybody is different. But ideally, once the divorce is finalized, is a safe place to start, I think. All right. So let's move on to the next one.
Okay, and so the next one is, why are you dating? So I feel that some people that are the relationship type tend to want to replace that void with another human being. And it is simply for the fact that they just don't want to be alone. And that is not a good reason.
The fear of being alone.
Yeah, the fear of being alone.
Need of dependency on someone.
Well, because some people are codependent. And sometimes you've been in a relationship for so long that you don't even realize it. And then that person's gone and you just don't feel complete. And you feel like you're lacking or you're less than because you are not part of a pair. So...
I think... in some situations, and not my situation, I was ready to move on to dating for the reason that I needed to be happy. And not that I needed someone else to be happy, but I felt I deserved to find someone who was going to be that other half to make a happy union. And that's what I was setting my sights on, because my last relationship was not one that made me happy on any level. So
but I think that when I read your profile, you weren't necessarily looking for that. You were just looking to meet someone for companionship purposes,
right.
Also.
Right.
I don't think you necessarily explicitly said, the person for the rest. I think that when it happens, it happens. So dating is almost like a social experiment.
Absolutely.
And getting to know people.
It absolutely is. And there's a learning curve when you first start dating. There's not anyone who gets it right the first time that I know. And I know plenty of people who are on their second chance or second go around or third go around. And it's still always a learning process to get that dating formula just right. But knowing why you're dating is a very good question to ask yourself. So you really got to think, why am I doing this? Is it just to be spiteful? Is it to get back at the person? Is it so I can move on faster than they can move on? Is it a competition? Those are things that you really need to ask yourself.
Yes. And it should be, I think that it should be for fun initially. Like I think there should be a fun element about it, and understand that maybe you're making friends, maybe you're dating to make friends, and maybe you're dating to have a social experience versus every time dating with,
For marriage.
this agenda.
Yeah, which leads us to another category, another item down the list, which is to set reasonable expectations. In other words, maybe
Don't demand more than you bring to the table.
that's
Perhaps?
yeah, that's a very, very valid point. Go ahead. You want to expand on that?
Yeah, because I feel like that's one category that I've discussed before with my girlfriends that I myself have had to face, and that is sometimes we come to the table, and the things that we demand aren't the things that we're bringing to the table, and like just like a superficial example is like, I want a guy that's like fit and that is, in great shape. Meanwhile, I don't go to the gym. So, it's
Yeah.
like you can't ask what you're not willing to give, And I think that a lot of females, at least because I can speak from a female perspective, we have this fairy tale idea of like what a relationship is and what your expectations are. And, the guy must be like Prince Charming and he must make all this
Sure.
money and he's going to
Have a
wine
full
me.
head of hair.
And have, yes, exactly.
All his teeth.
And all, yes, so that's necessary. But like all those things, and like we're keeping it light and superficial, but there's also, a lot of like the healing and the health that comes with,
Absolutely.
being in a healthy relationship when you're dating.
I think someone's typically coming out of a broken relationship. I think the knee-jerk reaction from most people is to seek what you're not getting from your just past partner. So if you weren't romantic, now that's all you want. And it seems like you set your sights. I want to have somebody fully romantic all the time, and that's not really realistic. To make a silly example. And then there are other things that you may want to focus on that your immediate past partner didn't provide you with, the emotional support or support on any of the financial support on other levels. So, and those aren't necessarily everything that you're looking for. You need to know what to expect. You need to know what you truly want.
Yes. And the thing is that because a lot of females have like a checklist. I say females because I'm actually speaking like of my circle of friends. So I'm not speaking, like everyone, but like I have been around a lot of independent single women, and it's like, oh, he must be this and he must be that, and they have a checklist. And like my thing is that, you better be bringing what you're asking for, because
I think that's fair.
And also a lot of people look at their past relationship as the marker, and I must do better. Mm-hmm. And it's a very superficial and physical thing because, people want to be, Instagram popular couple or relationship goals or, all that stuff on like social media, but that's not real because, not everything is superficial, and perhaps the things that you thought you wanted aren't the things that you truly need to be happy. So, being realistic in your expectations is important, and examining really what you need, because I think that one of the things that I realized about myself is that I needed to be with someone that had a good sense of humor, because I like to laugh. And you make me laugh. And so I didn't know that because I wasn't in very funny relationships before. And I didn't know that was something that I needed. It wasn't even something that registered in me. And so, my expectations and the things that I wanted were so different from the things that truly made me happy. Like, being able to crack up during sex. And like being your truly most vulnerable self in an intimate setting. I didn't understand like the happiness and the joy and the relief that provided. So, examining yourself, introspection is important.
Yeah. I think that being able to reveal your true self to someone and being able to laugh in scenarios like that is essential, because it's truly making yourself extremely vulnerable to your partner. And if you can't do that, then you're probably still hiding behind the shield of the representative.
Yeah.
And that's never good. Which leads us to the next category, which is to be honest about your past. And so, referencing that, putting up the front of your representative, how long is that going to last before things start to finally break down? You might as well be honest from the get-go. Don't try to put up a front. Don't make yourself seem bigger than you are. Just be real. I was in a relationship. It didn't work. Be honest about the reasons.
Take responsibility for your part in the demise.
Be honest about why it failed. Either you didn't put the effort, or your partner didn't put the effort. But be real about it. There's no reason to just point fingers and say, "Oh, they were the idiot. They were the jerk that messed everything up," because that's probably not necessarily all true. And I don't think anybody is going to be accepting that at face value for truth. It's just, it doesn't seem realistic. So, being honest, and that's something that we did right off the bat.
Oh yeah, well, it all started with our profiles, and in my profile, one of the things that on our dating profile, one of the things that I needed to be was be myself, and I had in the past I felt been sometimes objectified or fetishized, and that's for another conversation. But I'm a Latina, and with that comes a lot of things and stereotypes and things like that. So it's like I wanted to include that in my profile, but I wanted to show like really like this is what I look like without makeup. This is what my hair looks like when
That's funny, because I did the same thing. Mm-hmm. I put up pictures with no makeup.
And I still liked you.
You still like me. I'm still here.
Yeah, so I just wanted to be, and I said that, and I said in my profile, I said, I often wear yoga pants and whatever, and then sometimes I dress up and glam it up a lot. So just because I didn't want a person to pick me based on what their idea of me was. And then when we met, I kept it very real. And I feared sometimes, like, am I saying too much? Should I hold back on some things? But I for some reason,
absolutely not.
I trusted you. And I felt very, I felt very secure from the very beginning in what we had. So I felt very comfortable just opening up and being honest with you.
Well, I wanted to make it crystal clear from the get-go that I wasn't here to play games. I wasn't putting up a front. And I wanted to be open and honest. And I wanted our relationship to be that way from the start. I didn't feel like I needed to say that down the line. I wanted to set the tone from the get-go. Say, listen, you can tell me anything. I don't care. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I'm a man. I'll be able to tough through it. And if it's something that I truly can't deal with, I will let you know. But I would rather be hurt with the truth than to be deceived. So I wanted to make that crystal clear, and I really stand firm behind that. Being honest, Dave, and being able to tell somebody truly how you feel is absolutely significant. Saying things to save face or to just make them feel good and candy coat things it's not how I am.
No, definitely not how he is.
I don't really care for that type of approach towards things. So I'd rather be hurt with the truth. So if something that I put on to go out on Friday night doesn't appeal to you, I'd rather hear it from you before than after.
Oh no, yeah.
Or when
absolutely
people are snickering in the corner.
Absolutely.
So I'd rather hear it from you. So definitely honesty is a huge factor. Get that clear right off the bat.
Yeah.
It saves a lot of time and energy. Next one
is don't rush. Check the enthusiasm at the door. And that happens a lot when you meet someone like a quality individual and you want an insta family. You want to like just add water and skip all the stages and
just because they look the part.
Yeah. Because you just want to be already in that comfort. Because everyone, well, not everyone. A lot of people think that that a relationship is a race to, whatever,
To the finish line.
To the finish line, yeah. And it's more a journey, and you have to enjoy every stage. Unless I think that in certain circumstances where you have like a biological clock and and you really want to have children, then that's different. Then there is a little bit of urgency in that. But if that's not the case, then savor the moments, because when you live in the moment and you're not rushing, it's not like, don't create this fantasy idea of what it's going to be. Just look at it for what it is right now, continue to build on that, but enjoy right now. And what happens is that you look up one day and it's like, we're still dating.
Yeah.
And it's 4 years later. And so it's like, it still feels like we're still learning, we're still asking questions, we haven't rushed to anything. The only thing that I feel that we were ready to rush into, and I didn't feel like it was rushed, it was kind of like we both knew that we wanted to be with each other. Like within the first few weeks that we met, we both knew that I want to invest in this human being. And so I'm going to get off of all dating apps. I'm going to stop seeing anyone else, inform anyone else if we were dating other people, whatever. I'm seeing someone right now and focus my attention on this person. But I don't even feel like that was rushed. I think that in other occasions, it's like, it's an individual thing. You take your time with some people because you need to, they're a little more guarded, whatever. But because we were so open, I think that it just was going so
natural.
organically. It was going so organically that we just went with it, and we didn't let any of the past baggage hinder the ability for this to flourish.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt it flowed very naturally. I didn't feel that anything in our relationship was forced. So it makes it so much easier when it just feels that it's happening at the right time and it's not pressured.
At the right pace.
No undue, unnecessary duress. So yeah, that was definitely big. So monitor your emotions. Be honest about your feelings. Oh, this is fun, because when you sense your spidey senses are tingling, and you've noticed that that the person across from you is eating with their mouth open, or just the way that they chew their oatmeal or whatever it is in the morning, or they're snapping.
So we both have
peas
misophonia.
Not necessarily, but
I think
she definitely
I do.
does.
I do.
I've learned to tolerate it, but yes, whatever it is that irks you, if you see it, call a spade a spade. It is what it is. It's a red flag.
And it's not going to get better. If it annoys you now, it may be cute now, but it's going to annoy you later.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And so don't let these little things pass. Don't accept them, and don't think that they're temporary, because they're not. Especially on your second go around. Folks have matured, they've developed into the person they're going to be, and if that's the way they are,
you're not
changing them.
No.
You're not changing them. That's not going to happen. So I've never believed it when someone said, I'm going to change.
No. I mean, people can change, but fundamentally people don't. And, people can try to change the superficial things. Like, I've learned to be more organized, because you are a more organized person. So in certain aspects, and I am in others. So I think you can change, like you can tweak, but the fundamental behavior, I don't think you can change. It's very difficult.
It's extremely difficult. And so if you see those red flags, deal with it or back up and reassess the situation. Is it something that you're willing to put up with for the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? Do you see yourself in the same situation with that person doing the same thing? Can you see yourself doing that? And if you can't, you really should just back out.
However, if you do have strong feelings for the person, don't play games either, because
don't candy coat.
Yeah, no, just say how you feel. Like if you have a strong connection with a person, because some people want to play these games where, I'm not going to text too much, or I'm not going to contact, or I'm not going to let them know. And in doing that and playing those games, you may lose out, Because if you think this person is valuable, I'm sure other people do too. And if you don't let this person know, hey, I really am interested in you and I want to explore this more, then this person may just think, oh, well, she seemed aloof. Maybe she's just not that into me. Let me, just check other things out in the meantime. And something else may pop up and you've lost an opportunity. So it goes both ways. Like, just really gauge it. Go with your gut and gauge.
But don't ignore them and
No.
don't let them slide. Deal with it as it comes. All right? That's important. Red flag. And we're going to make a reference to that later.
Actually, yes. Okay.
We're going to make a little reference in our
Closing.
in our closing. So
Yes.
check that out. Next one, I think you wanted to take that on, and that's know your priorities.
Yes, know your priorities. So, and that goes back to what I knew that I wanted in a relationship. And I knew that there were certain things that were important to me and that were necessary. And it wasn't like I felt like an incomplete person. I was a complete person and I was happy. But I know that I am also a hopeless romantic and that I didn't want to be alone. I am a relationship person. And so I knew that I wanted someone to share the rest of my life with. And so I knew that there were certain things that were necessary for me. And I don't think I compromised in that. I was very set in the fact that I wanted, a hardworking individual, that I wanted a caring person, an honest person. I wanted someone that would claim me. And that was a conversation that we had because it was weird, but it was something that I knew that I needed. I wanted someone that I felt acknowledged our relationship in all ways, that even if I wasn't there, this person represents me well. And because that's what I do as well. And so when dating and seeking a potential partner, I kept all of these things in mind. And if I found that the person didn't almost have the same values that I had, then I knew that, at this point, I wasn't going to compromise on that.
Yeah, there were definitely things that I had in my mind that I wanted and would not settle for. And, finding a person who was able to be open and honest with me was one of the number one things. And in the dating world, what you'll learn very quickly is that you could very easily be catfished.
Yes.
Which is not fun. People put up pictures of their high school, and meanwhile they're fully grown, had married kids, and they're still putting up old photos. They're not putting their true self out there. And I wanted someone, and you did that. You put photos without makeup. You put photos in all different positions, laying on a bed, sitting up, this, that. But you didn't do too much. But you let me know the real you was here. And what I had seen prior was a whole bunch of photos, the same photos, 50 different women all doing the same poses, up high, to the right, duck lips, and it really was unappealing. Full makeup, every photo, just pounds of makeup, and it was just extremely unappealing.
But I think that's, I think...
I know society is forcing that to happen, but it's just, for me personally, it's just not what I want.
Well, but that's also more on a superficial level, because
that's superficial, but it tells you something about the
person. Okay, because I think that, at least for me, I had been in failed relationships before, and so I had a lot of healing to do before I could meet the right person. And I did a lot of work on myself because I was left with a lot of feelings of unworthiness because I was cheated on more than once. And when you're the common denominator in that type of situation, then you start thinking it's you. Something's wrong with you. And so and if you go into dating with those feelings, then you're going to still carry all of that into this new relationship and possibly attract that same person back. the person that won't be faithful.
Right.
So I decided to work on myself and get to know who I really wanted, like the person that I knew that I needed to be with in order, because then once I realized that it wasn't me and it wasn't my fault, I was not going to compromise. So my priorities included a faithful person. And so I wasn't going to compromise on that. And that was one of like the reasons why I asked, well, why did your past relationship end? Because I wanted to know, because people make mistakes and these things happen. And I'm not saying that infidelity is not, is unforgivable, but I wanted to know. Because if that was your moral compass and that was your character and the person that you were, then you could be a great person, but you weren't the person for me based on my past.
Yeah.
So that's what I
makes
mean
sense.
when I'm talking about the priorities. Like, make sure you stay real to what it is that you need.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. In the interest of time, we're going to move on to the next category. We've got a few more to go. And this is be informed about online dating. So I kind of
That's
touched on that before,
yeah.
and it seems self-explanatory, but for those newbies out there who are either just coming out of a relationship or just recently divorced, or you just haven't explored the world of dating, please, I implore, please give it a chance.
Yeah.
Don't let life pass you by and stay single for reasons that really aren't
Yeah. There's no need.
justifiable.
There's
It
so
doesn't
many
make sense.
people on this world that you
Absolutely.
can find your person. And it's an efficient way to do it. It's just, people tend to share the negative stories and the horror stories. They sell more. They're sensationalized. But we're sharing a good one. We're sharing a success story. And it wasn't like we met horrible people online either. We also met very nice people when in our
Experiences,
journey to get to this. It was just that we met each other, and but it doesn't mean that we had horrible experiences either.
No.
I actually didn't have any bad experience.
No, I had good experiences, but I knew from
they
the
weren't the
get-go
one.
that they weren't the one. So I let it run its course, or I cut it short, whatever it was, until I found somebody that was worth
Somebody?
spending my time.
Who was she?
Somebody. It's attractive in Dominican.
So just be informed and also be careful. You have to be smart. That's it. Just be smart.
Consult with some friends who've had good experiences with online dating as well. That may be a helpful point to help set up your profile, because your profile really is something that can forever be tweaked, modified, made better over the course of time. So if you're finding that you're meeting the wrong people, you may just need to make a few adjustments and it will steer you in the right direction. So please don't give up on that. Give it some time, be patient, and be persistent. It'll work. It worked for us.
Yeah.
It didn't take very long.
And I know many people that it has for also. I mean, I'm not saying that they all got married, but they had a good time and they enjoyed themselves while on it.
Yeah.
So.
Now, the next topic is kind of interesting, a little bit delicate. It says, don't rush to introduce a new partner to your family, meaning your kids. And I think that is absolutely true. That is not an area where you want to rush, because now you're risking hurting a family member, your family member. So in my case, my two small kids, I introduced them to someone and it doesn't end up being the right one. Now they're questioning why.
Well,
and
where did that person go?
Where did they go? And
what happened?
So that is a very delicate path to drift down, and you don't want to rush with that. Absolutely not.
But you also want to have your own timeline, and you do have to listen to your instincts. Sometimes we get overly excited and we want to, bypass certain stages because we feel so great. We're so excited. We want to do things together and all this stuff. But you really have to trust yourself. And I feel that for us, having been in past relationships, we kind of already came with an idea of what we were looking for and who we wanted to be with. And when we met each other, I don't know that I don't know that I believe in past lives. I don't, it's just, but it just felt so natural. It felt like we knew each other before.
Yeah, we kept finishing each other's sentences.
It was just so I had dated before meeting you, and I had dated long term. and I had taken longer to introduce my children just because it's what felt right. So there's no standard to when you introduce your kids. It's just really you kind of have to go with what you're feeling and how comfortable the person is also and how open they are to meeting your children and is this someone that I want to introduce to my kids. So if it's right, you can do it sooner. If you think you need more time, take your time. I don't think you can tell anyone it's going to be 3, 6, 9 months or a year.
Right.
It really is
Depending on your situation
Hmm.
and your level of comfort with that person that you're entertaining as becoming your life partner.
Hmm.
Really need to take all things into consideration, but do not rush because again, there's a potential for hurting your kids, hurting your family. If you made a bad decision or a misjudgment, it's really not worth taking a chance.
No. So the next one is when introductions happen, tread lightly.
That is really kind of like, well, in our scenario, it was a fun topic.
Yes.
And we touched
And
on
it's
that
a
in
story
how
we
met.
tell.
Yeah. And so when it came to us getting together and telling my kids and getting them involved in what was happening, they had already met. My kids had met Marty. They had met their kids. They'd met her dog.
Yeah.
We met everybody. And after the introductions were all fine and good, and everybody was getting along seemingly well, came an opportunity for us to empower my kids in playing a part in the decision-making process. And it was fun. The story is very simple. I was bathing my kids in the tub. They were small enough. I threw them both in at the same time. And while they're in there,
For those that haven't heard it, because we say it a couple of times.
I had the conversation with them about mine. I said, well, what do you guys think? Do you think she's right for me? Do you think we can make this work? And they were pretty positive. They had met her and her family, and they really, really liked her. And so naturally, their reaction was to pursue it. So without any further ado, I got Marty on the phone, and I made the offer. I said, would you like to be my girlfriend? And it sounded very much like high school, or even grammar school for that matter. But I got them involved in the process, and by treading lightly, by keeping them involved, and by giving them some ownership of that.
Or some level of control, because I think at that
Definitely
point,
made a
I think
difference.
Dee Dee could have easily said, I don't know. And then you could have, taken your cues from that. Because that was a good way to just gauge how she was feeling about me without asking directly.
It's true. And sometimes your kids have a little bit of insight and they see things that you don't see. And so sometimes by approaching it that way, you may discover something that you maybe overlooked because you had your blinders on. And so it's a wake-up call. Not necessarily red flag, but a wake-up call and something that you need to investigate a little bit further before investing.
And have a little bit of patience with them. Let them, because, you've met this wonderful person and you're excited about them, but they don't know that person like you do. So they have to get to know the person. So you have to allow them the time and to develop their own opinions and respect their opinion and don't force it on them. You just kind of have to let them grow to love the person that you've fallen in love with.
Yeah. So here's another fun topic, another category that it's keep growing, heal yourself to attract healthy people. That is absolutely true.
I think that's probably one of the most important ones. I think, and it goes hand in hand with setting reasonable expectations.
Absolutely.
Because I feel that, you want someone that is healthy in order to be able to have a healthy relationship. And I say that from personal experience. So I was in past relationships where there was infidelity, and I was cheated on, and it happened more than once. And when you're the common denominator in that type of situation, it does something to you. And I started thinking it was me. Something's wrong with me. And I started developing feelings of unworthiness. So it took time and it took work. It took introspection and it took therapy for me to understand that it wasn't my fault, that I wasn't flawed, that I deserved. And so when trying to find the person that I was going to invest in, I came as a whole person, feeling very healthy, because you can't expect to attract a healthy person if you are unhealthy. So I think that is part of the process. Before getting into anything, you have to heal.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing you don't want to be that person that just continually blames your ex for all the problems and all the reasons that your relationship failed, because that is a red flag in and of itself. And that's going to cause your potential partner to maybe step back. And
it's discouraging. It's discouraging to have someone
it's
that's
unrealistic.
Yeah,
it's unrealistic.
and then a person like that becomes overly possessive, overly, clingy, codependent, and insecure. And so you don't want any of those things. You want to be secure, you want to be comfortable, you want to know that you're worthy of a good human being and that person is lucky to have you, but you have to work at that. And so one of the things that I feel is that with everything that happened to me in the past, it was unfortunate. It did hurt a lot, and it caused a lot of pain. But in the same token, I feel that it took me like the first half of my life to become the person that I needed to be to deserve you. And so I feel like I've and you met my equal. I don't feel that I am more or less. I feel that I am compensated with what I deserve, and that is a very good feeling, because it brings with it a whole lot of like security and trust.
Oh, you mean it?
Shut up.
You mean it? Give me a kiss. That's so sweet. I love
Pain in the
it.
butt.
I am. I think it's true. I think also by being honest in this area and not, as I said before, blaming your ex for all your wrongdoings and the demise of your relationship, I think it makes you more vulnerable.
And you become more accountable.
And
also.
more accountable. So if you take ownership for the things that went wrong, and well, I didn't do this and I didn't do that, and then, but now I'm a better person, and I see that, and I've improved, and I've made myself better. You're demonstrating that you're capable of healing, and that is a big thing, because to be with someone who is incapable of growth means that there's a potential that you're just going to be facing the same battle over and over and over again. You're going to argue over the same things over and over and over again with no potential for growth, because that's what they've demonstrated, and you pick up on that. So take that as a red flag.
All right, the last one.
Last but not least, trust yourself. And this also plays a part with the red flag. If your spidey senses are tingling, something doesn't feel right, chances are it's not right. Don't look past that.
Don't compromise.
Don't make excuses. Don't compromise, and don't settle. I think I've said that a number of times in some of the responses when folks are asking about online dating.
Yes.
And it's one of the things that we just continually encourage is to not settle. So if you're not having that success right away, maybe you need to modify your profile. Maybe you need to just wipe the slate clean and start fresh. Be specific about what you're looking for, and be open and honest about what you represent and who you are. Nobody wants to deal with the representative forever. Understanding that you will have some level of representative.
Yes, of course, because dating
It's
is an interview.
understanding.
Dating is an interview. It's like I said, it's a social experiment, and you're getting to know the person, and it's almost like a test drive. You took this person before you commit to a
Exactly.
lease or to financing, you test drive. So that's the same thing as dating. So have fun with it.
Wait, you leased your car. I bought my car.
Listen, that's not even. I have commitment issues.
Oh, well, apparently not. Apparently not, because we're 4 years
no.
going strong and still
Yeah,
kicking it.
no, it's good. I'm just saying, it's just yes, have fun. Yes, but don't ignore the signs, because the signs are going to be there, and they're there, because what happens is that like 3 years down the road you're like, oh yeah, because he always did this and whatever, and so whatever is cute in the beginning is going to be annoying at the end. Don't accept it. If it's not something, that don't compromise. Don't. There are so many people out there. You're going to meet someone. There is a person for you. Don't
give
be
up on dating.
discouraged.
Don't give up on dating. Keep having fun. That's
Yes.
what it's all about. Life
And
is
even
too short.
after you're in a relationship, continue dating the person you're in the
person
relationship
you're in a
with.
relationship with. Yeah,
Don't stop courting each other.
We have regular date nights and always looking for fun, new adventures.
Yeah, and we're always laughing. Find someone that makes you laugh. That's a good one for me. It's if you can laugh with the person, that's always a big plus. But guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We make reference to red flag a lot, because if you watch SNL, there is an SNL skit.
A Saturday Night Live skit that
Yes.
We're going to make reference to. We're going to put that information link below. So if you're not familiar with it, please click on it. You'll probably get a good laugh out
Yeah,
of it.
it's really funny, and it's about exactly that. Red flags.
That's it, guys. So if you haven't already subscribed to us, please do so now and hit that notification bell so you can be made apprised of our videos as they come out just about each and every week. Right?
Yes.
See you guys.
Bye.